Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into a topic today that honestly just blows my mind every time I think about it, nanocarriers.
Yeah, they're pretty incredible.
They are.
All right.
And we've gotten a ton of requests to take a deeper look, and you guys sent in so much great research, we couldn't resist.
Well, it's such a fascinating field. I mean, we're talking about particles so small you can't even see them with a regular microscope.
Right. But even though they're tiny, these things have the potential to make a huge difference in medicine and beyond.
Absolutely. We can use them to deliver drugs more effectively, diagnose diseases earlier, even monitor the environment.
It's almost like science fiction.
That's so, right?
And, one piece of research that really caught my eye was this poster presentation by Somaya Ebispergomi from Sharif University of Technology.
Oh, yeah, that one's great. It gives a really good overview of different types of nanocarriers and their applications.
Yeah, and it's got this really cool image that shows all these different nanocarriers like gold, carbon nanotubes,
Yeah.
even titanium dioxide.
And it shows how they can be synthesized in different ways.
Right. And I think that's a great place to start. I mean, can you even explain how they make these things so small? Like, how do you even shrink something down to the nanoscale?
Well, there are a bunch of different methods, but it basically involves manipulating materials at the atomic or molecular level.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-boggling. Like one common method is called bottom-up synthesis, where you basically build the nanocarriers atom by atom or molecule by molecule.
So like building with Legos, but on an insanely tiny scale.
Exactly. And then there's top-down synthesis, where you start with a larger material and break it down into smaller and smaller pieces until you get to the nanoscale.
So it's like chiseling away at a statue until you're left with just a tiny speck of dust.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And the cool thing is, depending on the method you use, you can create nanocarriers with different shapes, sizes, and properties.
And that's what makes them so versatile, right? I mean, you can tailor them for specific applications like drug delivery or scenting.
Exactly. So let's say you want to deliver a drug to a specific part of the body, like a tumor. You could design a nanocarrier that's coated with molecules that bind specifically to tumor cells.
So it's like a guided missile, but for medicine.
Yeah, pretty much. And once the nanocarrier reaches the tumor, it can release the drug directly into the cancer cells.
And that's what they call targeted drug delivery, right?
Exactly. And the great thing about it is that it can help reduce side effects because the drug is only delivered where it's needed.
So it's not just blasting your entire body with medication.
Right. And it can also make the drug more effective because it's concentrated in the right place.
No, that's what I'm talking about. Making medicine work smarter, not harder.
Absolutely. And the poster actually shows an example of this using a material called PLGA, a biodegradable polymer. They basically encapsulate a drug within this PLGA matrix, and by adjusting the thickness of the PLGA layer, they can control how long it takes for the drug to be released.
Oh, wow. So like you could have a nanocarrier that releases the drug over a few days or even a month.
Exactly. That's the level of control we're talking about.
That's just incredible. It's like having a tiny pharmacy inside your body.
Right. And it can be incredibly beneficial for patients, especially those who need long-term medication.
Like imagine only having to take your medication once a month instead of every day.
That would be life-changing for a lot of people.
Yeah, totally. But I know nanocarriers can also be used for sensing. How does that work? I mean, how can something so small detect things?
Well, that's where those noble metal nanoparticles come in, like gold and silver.
Oh yeah, those were mentioned in the poster too.
Right, so these nanoparticles have these unique properties that make them incredibly sensitive to their surroundings.
What kind of properties are we talking about?
Well, for example, they have this phenomenon called surface plasmon resonance, where light interacts with the electrons on the surface of the nanoparticle.
Okay, I'm trying to picture that. So light hits the nanoparticle, and then what?
Well, depending on the substance the nanoparticle is interacting with, the way the light is scattered or absorbed changes.
So by analyzing the light, you can tell what the nanoparticle has detected.
Exactly. It's like a tiny fingerprint that reveals the presence of a specific substance.
That's so cool. And the poster actually highlights an example of detecting melamine in milk using gold nanoparticles.
Oh, yeah, that's a really important application.
Because melamine contamination is a serious health risk, right?
Absolutely. It can cause kidney problems and even death, especially in infants.
That's terrifying. So these nanocarriers can help ensure the safety of our food supply.
Exactly. By detecting even tiny amounts of melamine, they can help prevent contaminated products from reaching consumers.
That's a huge win for public health.
It really is, and it's just one example of how nanocarriers can be used for sensing. I mean, they can be used to detect all sorts of things, from heavy metals in water to biomarkers for
So,
diseases.
like, you could use them to diagnose cancer or Alzheimer's disease?
Potentially, yes. It's still early days for a lot of these applications, but the research is incredibly promising.
This is seriously mind-blowing stuff. We're talking about tiny particles that can revolutionize both treatment and diagnosis.
It's a really exciting field to be following, and I think we're just scratching the surface of what's possible with nanotechnology.
One thing that really stood out to me in the poster was the idea of stimuli-responsive nanocarriers.
Oh, yeah. Those are really cool.
I mean, it's like they have a built-in intelligence. They can release their cargo only under certain conditions.
Exactly. Like, imagine a nanocarrier that only releases a drug when it encounters the acidic environment of a tumor.
That's just wild. It's like having a tiny doctor inside your body, making decisions about when and where to deliver medication.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And it could be a game changer for treating all sorts of diseases.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from how nanocarriers are made to their potential applications in drug delivery and sensing. What stands out to you the most from what we've discussed?
I think it's the sheer range of applications, like you said. I mean, we're talking about everything from targeted drug delivery to detecting pollutants to diagnosing diseases. It seems like there's no limit to what these tiny powerhouses can do. What about you?
I think the idea of stimuli-responsive nanocarriers is just incredible. Like,
Yeah.
it opens up so many possibilities for personalized medicine.
Absolutely.
And I think what's really exciting is that we're just at the beginning of this journey. I mean, who knows what incredible breakthroughs are just around the corner.
I know, right? It's like a whole new world of possibilities is opening up thanks to these tiny particles.
So, to everyone listening, I want to leave you with this thought. What do you think the future holds for nanocarriers? What new applications can you imagine?
Because the possibilities are truly endless. We're talking about the potential to transform medicine, environmental monitoring, and so much more.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of nanocarriers. We'll see you next time.
See you then.